Nobody liked her. If you saw Mary Binns, she'd just walk down the corridor, ignore you.
Mrs Binns were strutting about in a suit and that's it.
She wasn't right for this area.
Something had got to happen. There was too much anger. We marched down there mob-handed. That's how it was, them and us.
The Parsons Cross estate in Sheffield is one of the largest council estates in Europe.
Just now, it looks a bit like Beirut because they are modernising a lot of houses, they are pulling a lot of houses down. There's a lot of one-parent families and we are getting a lot of trouble with young lads hanging around streets, corners, causing trouble at night, joyriders.
When we used to go out when we were younger downtown, you'd meet somebody and say, oh, I'm from Parsons Cross. You know, it was like you did have a stigma because you were from Parsons Cross.
We don't go in one another's houses for cups of tea. We don't have time really, but we know that if we want anything, you know, we can knock on one another's door and we're there for one another.
It's a very large council estate and often the people on that estate tend to remain on there. There's not a lot of movement, if you like. It's a sort of area where people, they don't give the trust easily and it takes a long, long time. I'm talking numbers of years.
Mansell Primary School is the educational outpost that serves this estate. In 1997 it was failing. Poor results and attendance figures led to the school being placed in special measures under the threat of closure. It's the school that Mary Binns was sent to turn around. Today she's gone, but not forgotten. Andrew Machel's arrival marked the end of a turbulent chapter in the school's history.
The school had, for about 6 months, hadn't had a sort of permanent head teacher. The previous head had gone. I found a school that was ready to take a new journey, I suppose, or the next journey.
Today, many parents seem pleased at the direction the school is taking.
School's got better. Yeah, a lot better. With different head teachers, it's got better. Yeah, definitely.
It's a lot better school now. They do a lot more activities for kids and stuff like that, which they never did when our eldest were here.
Maybe it was right at the time that the previous head went, and then for me as a new head with a slight, I would, from what I gather, is a different style of management or a different style of leadership, it was ready for that to happen.
Many families here don't speak so warmly of the former head, Mary Binns.
I think he listens to you more than what she did. She put her opinion across and that is.
She didn't have time for parents or children. It were staff mainly.
We all operate in different ways as head teachers. We all have different styles. And Mary's focus, quite rightly, was removing the school from special measures, because ultimately the school would shut if it wasn't. And having been there myself, I know where she's coming from.
To improve standards, things at Mansell had to change.
It was like being downtown. Saturday night, that playground was walking time.
From the very first day she arrived, Mary Binns made an impression.
I thought she were like a whirlwind. She was this very small woman, older middle-aged, I'll say.
Nobody liked her because nobody knew her. If you saw Mary Binns, she'd just walk down the corridor, ignore you. No good morning, no nothing.
She came in like, she was like a sergeant major.
And to look at her, you thought she was stuck up, unapproachable. And that's what she gave off. That's what we all thought. Right, madam.
It must be how an entertainer feels when they walk out on a stage. Probably those stand-up comedians that go on there and make us laugh. You know, it must be, it's that sort of, you're absolutely on a stage, you're centre stage. You do have to be brave. I'm quite gung-ho and I needed to be.
And when they did see her, just this surly-faced Mrs. Binns. I couldn't even tell you what she looked like till all this trouble erupted.
Obviously some parents are welcoming, and I'm not speaking about them all, but they were, I call it a significant minority because it doesn't need many to feel quite intimidating. When I first went there, it was very noisy and a lot of movement. It was not a learning environment. It was like being downtown on a Saturday night when it's really, really busy and there's lots of things going on and you're careful. You're looking about you. I was wary.
You know, she came in and she said, this is what's going to happen. They're going to walk down on this side, they're going to walk up on that side, they're going to sit in order in all, they're going to have lines, we're going to do this. And, you know, a lot of people didn't like that.
We had quite a lot of poor relationships with parents, very adversarial parents, parents facing a lot of challenges and difficulties in life. And we were the first port of call, really.
When Mary Binns took over, Claire Davis had children at the school. Like many of the families on the estate, her links with Mansell Primary went back much further.
I've always lived in this area, and I came to this school myself when I was younger, and then both my children came here, and they were both, they both had special needs in different ways. So I came into school a lot to support them. And in doing that, you get to know what's going off, you get to know what ain't going off, that kind of thing. So I felt then that I needed to be here because I think that they probably weren't getting what they should have got, which is why I became a parent governor.
Denise Bottom was another parent with a child at Mansell Primary at the time. She wasn't happy about how things were working out for her stepson, Lewis.
Now, Lewis, when he first were in school, he were a bit naughty. And if he didn't want to do anything, he wouldn't do it. And I tried several times to have something done about it, but it never happened. I had a word with teacher, she just were fobbing me off. There was nobody that I could speak to higher up because I could never get to anybody.
There was a delicate balance around those relationships because of the challenges that those parents were facing in their own life. Many of those parents had had very poor experience of school, and I think that coloured their experience, particularly of their secondary school, is what they brought back in when they came to challenge teachers and sought teachers out.
Something would have erupted. Something had got to happen. because there was too much animosity in the yard. There was too much anger. That playground were a walking time bomb.
The anger that parents feel towards school can often come from their own childhood. Today, Dawn and Richard Kirk have 2 children at Mansell Primary. Dawn hopes her daughters will come away with better school memories than she did.
It were hard for me. You realise now how easy it was, but at the time it was very hard. I went through a lot at school. I had so much support off my parents, but I had no support off my teachers, and I found it really difficult at school. I always wanted to be a graphic designer, and I found it hard how to actually do that at school as well. That was something, what do I need to get into? And I didn't, like I say again, have the encouragement. I want now for my children to enjoy it, not like I didn't enjoy it, and I hope they get the support from the school as well. So, because it is, like it just says, it is one of the best times. You know, like you don't realise it at the time, but it is, because it's even harder when you're growing up.
Claire Davis didn't get much from her school days either.
It was just a social event. And then, you know, come dinner time, we'd had enough, so we just didn't go back. It was never, like, said that we were going to go to university or out like that in our house. We were just going to get a job and earn some money. I knew I'd get a job, and then I did. I got a job in a sewing factory.
Claire left her job to have her daughter Fern and son Zach. But as they got older, she went back to work as a cleaner at a local tool factory.
I used to think, well, this is it, this is what you do. And at that moment in time, if that's all you think you can do, then you're happy with that. Like I were 30-odd. And that's when you sit and think, I don't want to clean for the rest of my life.
But Claire was about to get an unexpected chance to do something different. And it was all down to the arrival of Mary Binns. There was something that many parents at Mansell didn't know about Mary. She grew up on the city's other large council estate, Manor Park.
I don't know if it is the most deprived area, but it's a fairly high level of deprivation. Now, the lad that lived in that one over there is a professor at a Spanish university. And I lived here at 113 Stonecliffe Road. That one there. The school I went to, I'm not sure I was listened to, perhaps. And I did struggle with a lot of things, and I don't think people believe that I was really trying sometimes. I mean, obviously sometimes I didn't try, so I just gave up, but I did turn over lots of new leaves. Memories of growing up here and Dad doing that garden. Dad died in 1982 on the day that I was interviewed for a job in a secondary school just down the road. Dad making me believe that I could do anything I chose to do, and there ought to be more dads like that. The home backing and the home values are absolutely essential